And welcome again to the big match. And on today's programme, Queen's Park Rangers against Chelsea, a really rousing London derby game there. Also, Wolves against Manchester United and Sheffield United against Leicester City. 3 First Division games with an awful lot of good action to them. In the studio again today, Brian Clough and Malcolm Allison to give their comments on what you're about to see. And Sir Alf Ramsey talks about the hard men in the Polish team that England will be facing in that World Cup qualifier. But under a threatening sky and in front of a noisy crowd, we go first to West London for the First Division clash between Queen's Park Rangers and Chelsea. Rangers still have to win at home this season, but their form has been more than promising, and now they feel their expected side in which the youngsters are learning fast, helped by the experience of men like Venables, McClintock and Mancini. As for Chelsea, no Hutchinson, Garland or Houseman, but the competition for places at Stamford Bridge is such that it's still a formidable-looking side. 2 youngsters in the defence, Mickey Droy at number 5 and Gary Locke at 2. So now we look to the likes of Frank McClintock, newly arrived from Arsenal, and the man who's having a new lease of life in the First Division, and happy about it too, Terry Mancini, 2 key defenders for Rangers. And we're just wondering how they're going to make out against the likes of Peter Osgood, having such a fine season for Chelsea, and the man who is Chelsea's top scorer at the moment, Tommy Baldwin. He's got 4 to his credit. The referee is Vince James from York, and now we're ready for the start.
So Peter Osgood kicks off for Chelsea, defending the goal to our left in their chain strip. Red shirts, white shorts, green stockings. Rangers, as usual, in their famous blue and white hoops. And here's Dave Thomas. Tremendous turn of speed, and Gary Locke is struggling to keep with him. And it was only that Webb was filling in behind the young fullback that stopped Dave Thomas getting across what could have been a very dangerous centre. So a corner in the first seconds of the game for Queen's Park Rangers. And in fact, whether Thomas has just twisted an ankle as he tried to get that ball over, the linesman in fact calling the attention of the referee to it, but they're going on, and there's the corner from Thomas. Clement was right up on the far side, dinked in once more, and Gibbons went in. And the first warning there for Chelsea, but Queen's Park Rangers mean business. Lock away for Chelsea to Peter Osgood. Garner. Though Garner didn't really get ahead to it. And a foul there on Osgood. Unintentional, as Osgood was the first to admit, by Venables. The rain beginning to beat down now at Loftus Road. And David Webb to take the free kick for Chelsea. Chipped forward towards Osgood. That was a good jump by McClintock. And the shot by Hudson charged down by McClintock. Locke pumping it back again. Baldwin in there, turning it on. Hazel, Leach, very nicely played there for Thomas. Nice ball there to Francis. And Francis is storming on. Corner then to Queen's Park Rangers, and Hazel in a bit of trouble deep in his own half. The corner taken though, and Belletti went down quickly from that rebound from Stan Bowles. And I think Hazel looks as though he's in quite a bad way. Whether the referee hasn't noticed him or not, I don't know. The ball is out of play, he's got every excuse now. And in fact, there are 2 Queen's Park Rangers players down now because Stan Bowles has joined Hazel. Terry Mancini, a London evening paper today, makes him their player of the month. Really has found himself this season as a number 5 in the First Division for Queen's Park Rangers. told by the Queen's Park Rangers trainer what to do with whatever it is he's been given. It looks as though it might be a bad mouth, maybe a tooth missing as well. Osgood laying it off for Kemper. Venables, he caught the boot in the face there from Osgood. Unintentional by Osgood, but the boot quite clearly dangerously high. Thomas again. Venables, chip forward this time for Mickey Leach. And I think he probably got a corner there. Yes, he has. So Mancini and McClintock are both going up for it. Number 5 and number 6. Thomas will take the corner for Queen's Park Rangers. Mancini trying to get there with his head just over. Well, that was a beautiful jump by Mancini from that very accurate corner from Thomas. And Bonetti very calmly over. So corner for Rangers on the far side. So Thomas taking this one as well. Curled in left-footed. And in fact Givens, and does it go? It's given. No, the linesman I think was flagging, but the referee has given the goal. No, it was disallowed. The linesman there flagging for an infringement. I thought for a moment that Vince James, the referee, was pointing to the middle, but he took heed of his linesman, and Chelsea's goal was disallowed for offside, presumably against Don Givens. Hazel, back to Phil Parks. So a throw to Queen's Park Rangers. Terry Venables taking it. Bowles. Roy close at hand. Bowles getting it back to Venables. A nice little chip there towards Dave Thomas. And a header there that was just over as well. A good leap there by Thomas, using all his neck muscles on that header as well. Hollins. Mancini. Marginally at the moment, Queen's Park Rangers having the better of it. Osgood. Taking it all for risk there, but winning in the end. Beautifully beating Venables and Leach. And there's the ball now for Alan Hudson. Played forward for Canberra, back for Osgood. Blasting it against Mancini. Webb following it in. Locke just keeping it in, taking 2 challenges and still winning. And now it's with Locke for Chelsea. A cross in there, and oh yes, an own goal by Mancini. Well, Chelsea's build-up was magnificent for that. And when it looked like breaking down, Locke performed miracles to keep it going. And the cross really fooled Mancini and left him with a dilemma. And he could only tuck it past his own goalkeeper, Phil Parks. 17 minutes gone. Terry Mancini, an own goal. And Chelsea then in the lead. Leach to Francis. And now for Clement. Francis. Venables. Clement. Just a little too casual there, but Francis is backing him up. There's a nice little pass through to Bowles. Bowles might still keep it. He has. Clement. To Thomas. Venables, a little stab forward there. Webb just getting to it. Hazel going to drive one. But very wild. And very, very wide. And a goal kick to Chelsea. Well, a marvellous atmosphere at Loftus Road. Not the largest of First Division grounds, but fairly healthily filled now for this West London derby. Webb. Garner trying to get in behind the Rangers defence, but there's Hazel. Venables accurately playing that header to Jerry Francis. A late challenge and a wild one by Kemba. Quite properly giving the free kick there to Queen's Park Rangers. McClintock with it. Gibbons header. Powerful, but not exactly in the right direction. Garner. McClintock again. That time it was Baldwin backing in on McClintock. Bad free kick by McClintock sends Kemba on his way. Osgood. And Kemba racing on, and McClintock desperate to get back with him. And the ball's still in play. Venables header. Playing some neat stuff, Queen's Park Rangers in little bursts. Gibbons there finding Thomas. Venables, mastermind in the middle of the field for them. Hazel. Good looking cross there. Gibbons was hopeful of getting in there, and it fell for him again. Bowles, yes! The goal is given. Stan Bowles has equalised. Well, Gibbons, as that ball came across, leapt well. Lost it for a moment, but it came to Bowles. And Bowles hammered it in left-footed. 1-1 the score. Venables in a little bit of trouble, injured before the game can get restarted. But Rangers' hearts must be a little higher now. And the crowd here now getting behind this new First Division side. Stan Bowles, the man who has brought the cheers out with that left foot goal. And the atmosphere here now really is alight. Thomas once more. Nice ball there to Leach. Played on this time towards Gibbons. It'll fall for Stan Bowles. Now it's with Thomas. That time he's got through and got it over, but Webb was there that time. And Hudson to Osgood. And Chelsea at the moment under pressure. Venables. Francis. And away now to Venables. Play on, says the referee, or the stop for a moment, Venables, thinking the free kick had been given. Now Garner versus Mancini. Rangers throw. Bowles. And this time for Venables. Nicely played there for Jerry Francis. Little touch there for Gibbons. He's onside, he's all right. He scooped it across the goal. Get the impression that Gibbons there was trying to curl it a little bit wide of Bonetti, but gave himself just a little too much to do. McClintock slips and Baldwin is away. Garner's waiting in the middle for him, but Rangers are back in some strength. There's Garner with a flying header. Well, I suppose suppose if that had come off for Chelsea with that brilliant effort there by Garner, the Queen's Park Rangers certainly could have blamed the slippery surface that caused McClintock to slide and lose it. Given again with a good header, this time for Bowles. Played on nicely for Don Givens once more. Webb is there with him, and that was a good piece of defence by Webb. Well, this ball really is flying from one end to the other now. Corner for Rangers. Webb and Droy doing a very good job at the back for Chelsea. There's David Webb. But it's going to be Thomas again with the corner. Chipped again there towards Mickey Leach. Thomas, though the boots were high, what a pity that the referee didn't allow that to go on, because Venables was in possession and in a certain amount of space. Instead it's Terry Venables taking the free kick. Curl again there, Droy away, and Rangers get the throw. Bowles neatly over his head. Givens was in there again, and Harris, looking all around him, very aware, saw that Mancini was far enough away for him to make the running. Still with Harris, and his determination there was a lesson, because he found Garner, and here's Kemba now. Well, that looked easier for Kemba than it was, because he had to control a difficult bouncing ball, and Clement closed so quickly on him. The first half could hardly be more even, standing at 1-1. That is just about the right sort of result, as it's hoisted once more towards Osgood, and Leach hooking it away. Osgood got a crack on the head. It'll soon be half-time, and he can get something done about it. Here goes Hollins. Still that bundle of energy as Phil Parkes goes down at the feet of Peter Osgood. The man who's in the England party for the Poland match, Phil Parkes. Being forced onto that left foot every time by Chelsea players, and doesn't look very strong with his kicking on the left foot. Leach now to Francis. Harris battling away with Bowles. Rangers throw. Francis being told by the referee to get on with it. Last seconds of the first half. And that indeed is the whistle for half-time, and what a good one it's been. Well, number 10, Stan Bowles going in, having scored the equaliser for Queen's Park Rangers after Terry Mancini had put through his own goal to put Chelsea ahead. There's so much more to come on the big match today. Two other games, top games of the day, plus comment from Brian Clough. But the half-time score at Loftus Road is Queen's Park Rangers 1, Chelsea 1. We'll be back with the second half in a couple of minutes. So welcome back then to Loftus Road with the half-time score here 1-1, which I suppose is par for the course really for Rangers fans, because all four previous league games this season that Rangers have played here have all ended in draws. Now Rangers then defending the goal to our left. It's with Francis. Venables. Hudson. Venables and Francis. Hazel is kicking badly there. His thought was to get it to Thomas, and he finally did it at the second attempt. And he's gone past Kemba. So it's Thomas now for Queen's Park Rangers. Quite a battle throughout that first half with Gary Locke. Connor's really finishing just about even. Leach trying to lay it on there for Gibbons, and that time Droy was there. Venables hitting it on the volley, but hitting it. Harris away for Chelsea to Bill Garner. Droy. Well, Mancini said thank you for that one. And Chelsea said thank you for that. Terry Mancini. So Peter Benetti then will take this goal kick. Garner, Oscar. Now Venables for Rangers. Givens. For Bowles, trying to get a 1-2 going, and Don Givens now, will he get on this one? Givens! So very, very close. Very good play there between Givens and Bowles. A 1-2 that really got Chelsea on the rocks. Thomas. Slightly deep across this time towards Leach, but there was Joy again, winning a valuable ball in the air. And Hollins now striding away for Chelsea. Baldwin is racing on ahead of him. Garner is down the left for him, and still Hollins won't give it up, and it's with Baldwin, played now for Garner, and hit first time, straight at Phil Parks. Garner caught that beautifully. Thomas. Well, he's going to take on Harris this time. That's a fair-looking cross, and Bonetti quite catching it well. But certainly Thomas went roaring past Harris then, and he very rarely did that to Lock in the first half. Venables, Bowles. Played for Venables again. Not too many options open to Terry Venables, but he's found Thomas. Hollins now snapping at Thomas. That was a good piece of tackling back by the Chelsea number 4, Johnny Hollins. Hudson. The game now beginning to pick up the momentum of the first half as Hudson slides his way past Mancini, and the shot was deflected though by McClintock for a corner. So Chelsea get a corner. Webb is going up for it. Indeed, only Locke and Droy are staying back. Harris number 3, Garner 11. Webb deep in that Chelsea penalty, that Queen's Park Rangers penalty area. So from behind Phil Park's goal, it looks fairly congested in that Rangers penalty area. Hollins then with a corner, hit low. Oh, and almost an own goal that time by Hazel. Needed a tremendous spring there and a catch by Parks. And now Rangers on the move again with Leach. Bowles. Francis to Leach. This time for Thomas. Now Venables with room to try a shot, and a good safe catch by Bonetti. Troy to Hudson, and now for Harris. Coming towards the last quarter of an hour, still standing at 1-1. Hudson. Baldwin looking for a route to goal, but stopped by a combination of Hazel and Mancini. So it'll be a throw now to Chelsea. And it'll be Ron Harris who takes it. Hudson, Harris. Garner allowed a bit of space there. And Hollins driving one. Nicking in there very quickly, John Hollins, after Garner really was allowed too much space there by the Rangers defence. Bowles letting it go for Francis. Oh, well done, Francis, and what a good save there by Bonetti. Certainly a minimum of effort there. He found himself a yard or so and let fly from what, 28, 30 yards? Bonetti with a damp ball, couldn't trust himself, I suppose, to catch it. So it's going to be another corner for Rangers. Thomas once more taking it. Mancini once more getting in there, and Harris nodding that one away. Free kick to Chelsea. A few discussions there that were fairly animated, but thank goodness it was a smile that finished it off. But Chelsea get a free kick. We're now left with 7 minutes. Webb with the free kick for Chelsea. Garner there, winning a good ball in the air. McClintock getting it away, but only as far as the number 7 ball win. And no, just passed by Kemba. So Kemba just wide after poor Frank McClintock had made a momentary error there, deep in his own defence. And we stand still at 1-1. In the last minute. Garner's found Kemba. Played inside first time for Tommy Baldwin. There's the header! And a great save there by Parks, springing across his goal with 15 seconds or so to go. Lock. That'll be a free kick. Free kick to Rangers. Francis to Thomas. Well, Locke has played him so well. Webb to Bonetti. Referee's looked at that watch again, and in fact he's looked at 2 of them. Looking again. And there goes the final whistle. And Queen's Park Rangers have still to win at home in the First Division this season. They got off to a bad start with the own goal by Terry Mancini. They came back with a goal by Stan Bowles that made it 1-1 before half-time, but the second half really not quite living up to the promise of the first. So we're left then with a final scoreline here at Loftus Road that reads Queen's Park Rangers 1, Chelsea 1.
So Rangers still have to win at home. An interesting statistic, really, before we go on. The crowd at Queen's Park Rangers yesterday was 30,000, and the club have made such advances that a third of them, that's a good ratio, were sitting under cover and didn't feel the rain at all. And the take from that 30,000 crowd, incidentally, was just on £20,000, and there's a lesson for a lot of clubs there, I would think. Right, let's get down to the football now. And first, what did the Rangers skipper Terry Venables think of his team's performance yesterday, and the fact that they still haven't won at home?
Now, we've had 5 games at home now, Brian, and we've had 5 draws. I think the main thing, as long as we're picking up points, I'm not very happy with the amount of points we're picking up, really, but at the same time, I'm very pleased with the way we're playing. We're putting it together, we're playing it with plenty of style, and I feel as long as we have plenty of belief in ourselves, that we'll have no problems.
What is the missing link, do you think, now?
I don't think there's any missing.
Because you played so much good stuff today again.
Yeah, I don't think there's any missing link, Brian. I think with a bit of luck, we could have had the other goal once or twice there. But very, very proud of the way the team played. You know, I think many of the boys are young lads, and they was a bit worried they would be out of their company in the first division. But now, after 10 games, I don't think they've got any problems at all. No worries whatsoever.
In no way. Would you say, Malcolm and Brian, that that's justifiable optimism from the Rangers skipper?
Yeah, I think they're quite a good side, Queen's Park Rangers. I saw them play West Ham. They should have beaten West Ham 4 or 5 goals. And they drew no score that night. They had 3 goals to sell out. Right. But they got some good players. They got some good forwards, which is very, very important.
Who particularly is?
Well, Jerry Francis is an excellent player. Stan Bowles is playing well. Givens is playing well. They're really good front players, and I thought they'd be in trouble at the back, and I thought yesterday in particular against the big fellas Garner and Osgood they'd be in trouble, but they didn't. They got away with it, and So I think they'll have a good season.
They've got a very good goalkeeper, Brian, as well, Phil Parks.
Yeah, well, I don't think that is their strength in actual fact.
What is, do you think?
I think their strength is their skill. You know, believe it or believe it not, it seems to be overlooked when you come out of second division into first. You need a lot of skill. And I believe they've got it to do well in the first division. My mate's got a bet, Peter Taylor's got a bet, 2 bets in actual fact, that they'll finish above Burnley. Now, Burnley are riding high, and we still believe that they will finish above Burnley.
Well, they got skill, but they would claim they didn't have too much luck yesterday with a disallowed goal. In fact, we've looked at it several times today. The referee, Vince James, told me that he gave it for pushing. We have to look very closely to see there's still a bit of pushing from the corner.
It's almost impossible to see in actual fact.
You've got to look for a group of 3 players running in, and the only possible push is Frank McClintock.
There's McClintock there now with the
now.
2 Chelsea players. Osgood is one of them. If there was an offence committed, it was Frank McClintock pushing Osgood. But from this angle, we don't see it. Perhaps in a few seconds, we'll see it a bit better from the other side of the goal. The referee didn't give the decision, in actual fact. The linesman gave it. Here we go again. McClintock is just coming into the picture now. You see Osgood just going to go up and then suddenly appeared to be knocked off balance. And the linesman now, of course, is on the left-hand side of the picture, and he gives the decision because you'll see Webb in turn turns to him, and then Bowles turns to the linesman. So he must have seen the pushing.
Mind you, you can't complain about that because you were saying it on the ball yesterday that for decisions in the area, all eyes have got to be glued on that situation, linesmen and referees.
Superb, yes. What I said was, you know, if referees try to run it themselves, they must be crackers. Well, obviously, our friend from York isn't crackers. He's taken the linesman's point of view and his decision, and rightly so.
What about the goals now? The first one, Terry Mancini, again, didn't have too much luck, but he was in a very difficult position there, putting through his own goal. Malcolm.
Yeah, this was a very good cross from Locke. Locke goes in very hard in the tackle there. Nutmegs another player there. He takes it right up to the dead ball line, and it hits a firm ball across, and Baldwin steps over the ball, and it hits Mancini. Mancini doesn't see it.
Has no chance at all, really, Terry Mancini, with that one.
I don't know why Baldwin stepped over the ball there, but he must have thought he couldn't have got a shot in.
You've spoken about Stan Bowles, and it was a brilliant goal. Brian, you particularly enjoyed it.
Absolutely brilliant. It's a case of too many cooks spoiling the broth as far as Chelsea's concerned. Webb eventually pushes the ball out, and Stan Bowles, with this beautiful action of his, you can see his arm, you can see the follow-through, and the left foot, and he literally rifles it into the back of the net.
Such a tiny gap as well.
Oh, beautiful goal. Absolutely beautiful goal.
We've spoken about a number of the QPR players, and I'm sure Chelsea fans will not object if we look at QPR now. Dave Thomas is one we haven't really mentioned, Malcolm.
Well, I've never been too impressed with Dave Thomas, but I saw things yesterday which somebody's really working at his game, because he was going past people. Whereas always when I've seen him before, he goes across people. You know, instead of he comes to a player and then he goes across the park. But yesterday he was going past people, and he crossed a couple of good balls, and he beat 2 or 3 players in good forward runs.
That must be to the credit of Gordon Jago, but you've long admired him, Brian, haven't you?
Yeah, we tried to buy him. I did long negotiations with Bob Lord and with Jimmy Adamson before QPR went in. In fact, Gordon Jago rang me before he signed him.
Yeah.
And perhaps it goes down as one of my clangers that we didn't get him at Derby.
Really? Let's have a look at some of the best work of Dave Thomas yesterday, and there was really a good deal of it flitting down those touchlines.
Yes, the ability to find space, it goes unnoticed in First Division football, but it is an ability to find space. And here he is on the left flank, picking the ball up and immediately attacking the defender. It goes past him beautifully, and if you'll see the determination in his face there, that's a good sign. He's across from the QPR right wing, and who we find in the penalty area in centre-forward position? Dave Thomas. Takes a lot of courage or a lot of stupidity to get in there, and he puts a firm header just over the bar. It's a good sign. This perhaps is his best effort, because he's picking the ball up here wide on the right wing again, and he's taking on what is considered one of the hardest defenders in the First Division, Harris of Chelsea. Not only does he take him on, he pushes the ball past him, and when he's expecting the crunch, he puts in a beautiful chip there, like Arnold Palmer golf shot. Unfortunately, it's a bit too close to the goalkeeper, and Bonetti picked it up. But the ability to go past the fullback and to cross it on the run is very rare.
Well, they got a point, Rangers, yesterday. You got a point as well, Brian, having missed a penalty. Mal, you didn't get one at all.
No, we made 2 bad mistakes and 2 goals against us yesterday. But at least we played a bit yesterday, and I was much more happy about the performance.
Really? Oh, that's good news. Brian, you can't go on missing penalties like this.
No, it's ridiculous to miss a penalty. If you get one and you're drawing 1-1 and you miss it, then you've got no grumbles at all. I left out John McGovern yesterday. We're talking about clangers of mine. I think that was a clanger as well, because McFarland wasn't fit, John McGovern I left out, and John O'Hare was 12th man. I left the heart out of the side. And this is where we slipped up. Things weren't going right for us, and we wanted somebody with big hearts to make them go right, and through me, they're all sitting on the sidelines. It takes a man with a big heart to, you know, get things going when it's wrong, when things are going wrong. Like this bloke next to me, it's not easy for him to come in to this studio and to say hello to you lot, because things are not going well for him. It takes a big man to do it.
Well, there's the big man, Big Mal, and our thanks to Malcolm Allison and to Brian Clough as well. And our next match on the programme today is Sheffield United against Leicester City at Bramall Lane, where the pictures come from Yorkshire Television, the commentary is by Keith Macklin, and Sheffield United here are in the stripes.
Throw to Sheffield United, who've already been making chances and must expect to make more with Graham Cross off. This is Salmons. That's the low one. Birchinall deciding not to leave it with Shilton behind him. And getting into a bit of trouble. That looked like handball, but the ball's going to be crossed. And it's Rofe again, a half clearance to Curry. Curry trying to work the route for a shot. He's tripped. Penalty. It's a penalty. As Curry was trying to work his way through the penalty area. His ankle was tapped. He stumbled. He didn't fall. He stumbled. But Mr. Morrissey saw it and immediately awarded a penalty. Alan Woodward is the man who will take it. Jim Bone for a moment shaped as if to take it, but it's Peter Shilton, England's goalkeeper, to face a penalty from Alan Woodward. Mr. Morrissey not yet happy that everyone is... No, I think there may have been a few words said. Woodward, 1-0. Woodward's 4th goal of the season. Even an England goalkeeper can't really stop shots like that from 12 yards range. Rofe, Birchinall up towards Stringfellow, coming out to Farrington with a clear shot. Across the goal, there's the... Oh, on the line! It looks like a penalty or a goal. The goal has been awarded. The goal has been awarded despite Cahoon's dive. It had crossed the line. Keith Weller rocketing that in, and although Eddie Cahoon turned goalkeeper for a split second, the ball had crossed the line. So 2 goals in 2 minutes. It was Farrington's cross which put the Sheffield United defence in a tangle. Worthington clipping it up for Stringfellow and Farrington. Oh, what a miss by Flynn. This could... And what a spectacular dive by Stringfellow. Mr. Morrissey won't give a penalty there because that was a most palpable piece of acting by Stringfellow. He chose to dive over the body of McAllister. Stringfellow made that infinitely worse by a piece of acting that wouldn't really convince a producer in a second-rate repertory theatre.
Well, the penalty decision caused a bit of a comment there, and so did the one that wasn't given. But the referee in both cases was a darn sight closer than we were, we must say that. But when the penalty was taken by Sheffield United, we had that old business over again, the business of encroachment that you've written to me about so often. Just watch Jim Bone in the striped shirt there in the centre. As Alan Woodward actually strikes the ball, he is inside that penalty area. Now, this is a thing that the referees and linesmen really have got to get to grips with. If they're going to go on giving penalties like this, as they must, then they must also apply the laws of the game right through to the finish. And with that encroachment by the Sheffield United player, the penalty should have been retaken. It's as simple as that. Right. Now it's time for your letters again. First today, we must clear up a situation that provoked more letters than any other subject in the past week, and it was Spurs' winning goal against Derby County last week at Tottenham. Alan Jordan, who's 13 from 75 Passingham Avenue, Billericay in Essex. Master Anthony Short of 127 Corporation Road, Grangetown in Cardiff. And Mr. B. Googe of 23 Shirley Road, Luton in Bedfordshire were just a few amongst many of you who said that the long throw by Martin Chivers was a foul one and that we ought to look at it again, if only for Brian Clough's sake. Brian, you've seen it?
Yes, I've had a look at it. I would love to think it was illegal, but it wasn't illegal at all. It was a perfectly good long throw. I'm only sorry we haven't got someone in the Derby side to throw it as far.
Well, as we look at it again, what we have to decide is whether Chivers had both feet on the ground at the moment he actually released the ball. Here he is. Watch that back foot as Big Chiv gets in that long throw, and I think you've got to say that the foot was definitely down, and the linesman, and we've criticised linesmen in the past for this, the linesman on that occasion was absolutely right. Now, Brian, this is the moment again, isn't it?
Oh, it's a terrible moment, this. It's like having a nightmare replayed. We've got so many defenders in there, it always seems impossible for them to score, but they did.
Right, Mr. W. Hill of 58 Dinsmore Road, London, SW12, was surprised by the penalty decision given against Queen's Park Rangers at Newcastle last week. And the thing that mystified him, and the Rangers players too, it seemed, was that the referee gave it for shirt pulling. Well, this was the incident coming up now. I think, in fact, everybody thought that it was Terry Mancini who'd conceded it. A closer inspection probably gives the clue that it was Frank McClintock jumping underneath this ball now. And I think, watch that number 6, I think he gives a push there on the Newcastle player. Mancini certainly goes in behind him there with his head, but gets a clean header at the ball. And it's now that the fun starts, because the referee has given the penalty and Rangers can hardly believe it. Malcolm, you've looked at it. You felt that it was...
Yeah, I felt that Frank McClintock definitely pushed the Newcastle player as he bypassed him. And the referee saw this and gave the penalty for this. But when you're actually watching the game itself last week, you saw the incident and you thought it was Mancini and you thought it was a terrible decision, but he was quite right.
So the Rangers players there are imploring the linesman to give his point of view. It's a strange gesture here by the referee, really, because he's talking about shirt pulling when, if anything, it had to be a push by Frank McClintock. So he got to the right result, but by a rather funny old means of getting to it. Still, it was a penalty, incidentally, that Newcastle missed, as I'm sure you remember, and Queen's Park Rangers won that match away from home 3-2. More letters from you next week, but before we go on to our last match, which is Wolves against Manchester United at Molineux, we have a surprise guest, a man who was at that game yesterday, Sir Alf Ramsey. And after it, Hugh Johns had a word with him, and of course they got around, inevitably, to talking about the England-Poland match, about the tough play we've seen from the Poles, and whether this would influence Sir Alf's own selection.
Well, this was overlooked in the match in Katowice when England played. The same players were involved. Mikovic, the number 8, was responsible for Alan Ball being sent off. There was no doubt about that. Prior to that, he was booked at Cardiff. He was involved again against Poland, against Wales. Most certainly, there are other players such as Musial, the left back, Wolsaki, one of the centre backs, and Damaski, the substitute that came on. He came on and attacked Bobby Moore. He didn't attack the ball. He didn't attack the England team. He attacked Bobby Moore. So in actual fact, we have sampled this before. We know what to expect from the players. I don't think my selection will be affected by the fact that they have strong players. They have very determined players. I think I've always tried to present a successful England team, and this I hope to do again.
How much sleep will you lose before you finally get around to naming your side, Alf?
I'm a very good sleeper. I think one of the, and that is the truth. But I think on the last occasion when I had to tell Bobby Moore that I was going to leave him out of the side, I didn't like that very much. But it is part of my job. It's not a job, not the part of my job that I enjoy. But I had tremendous feelings for players, and it was a very not a difficult decision, but most certainly a difficult task.
Well, some unusually strong public views there from the England team manager, and a quote right at the end that interested me most of all, where he said it wasn't a difficult decision to come to the dropping of Bobby Moore. What did you read into that, Malcolm, particularly in relation to the Poland game?
Well, I think that he meant by that he knew that Bobby Moore shouldn't be in the England team, and so that it was his choice of the team wasn't difficult, and so therefore I don't think that Bobby Moore's got a chance of being in against Poland.
Really?
I disagree completely. I disagree completely. I think if you got Alf here and said, "Did you mean that?" he would deny it completely. I don't think he meant that at all.
How close do you think he's got it into his mind now, the side he's going to put in against Poland?
It's very difficult for him to make his mind up yet. I don't think he's a man for making his mind up quickly. I think he takes, you know, more time than most. But I don't think he can make his mind up because he's got injuries all over the place, and he's got a lot of matches to go before he can pick his side.
He never picks a team till 24 hours before the game, does he? He never announces his team anyway.
Now, why do you think that is? Mark?
I think that's because he's a little unsure of his team.
I think he likes to take more time than most. You know, he's not so definite, and he sees how things are going, and then whack, then he decides.
But at least he's sleeping well.
Oh, hey, good luck to him. There's not many of us doing it.
That England-Poland match, need I remind you, of course, is a game that you can see live on ITV on Wednesday week. Well, let's go now to the match that Sir Alf Ramsey saw yesterday. Wolves against Manchester United, where the pictures come from ATV. The commentator's Hugh Johns, with Wolves in the lighter shirts with the black shorts.
Taylor now. Looking for Richards, it's too long for him. Buchan gets it away. Morgan on again. Bailey neatly done for Parkin. Daly. Greenough. Macari. Greenough. Calliope wide for Hibbett. Daly goes again. Oh, it's a bad pass back from Young. Good job, Graham was there. And a shot on for McCalliog. And a goal! Jimmy McCalliog. Six and a half minutes into the second half, Jimmy McCalliog makes it 1-0 and punishes the Wolves for some fairly slipshod defensive work then. Jimmy McCalliog then capitalising as United made a mess in their box. A ball that should have been cleared hard and firmly. George Graham caught. The ball coming out to McCalliog and bang, straight into the back of the net with Stepney given no chance. Hibbett. Nobody wide on this left side. So Buchan really ought not to be in too much difficulty. McCalliog getting goal side of him. Kidd. Holton on for Young. Kidd wanting to take over again. Carrying the ball. Morgan. Morgan still in there. Going well for McElroy. But honest piece of goalkeeping by Gary Pearce then. Graham flicking it on only as far as McCalliog. Oh, well read and well cut out by James. Hibbett, Taylor wide to the right. Munro. Chance to feed him again. No, gives it to Daly instead. Now Taylor. Good running by the fullback. And Dugan, a fantastic goal. What an incredible goal by Derek Dugan. 16 minutes into the second half and Alex Stepney's beaten again. It's 2-0 and Dugan, that is one of the most acrobatic goals he'll ever get in his life. Glorious attacking move down the right side. Daly laying it in for Taylor. The hard-struck low ball. I think Richards might have got a touch to it. Flicks across the box and Dugan heads it in when the ball seemed to have beaten him. Kidd. Wolves packing back to square up to him. Kidd certainly has covered just about every blade of grass on this lush Molyneux field this afternoon. Willie Morgan, across. Carry on for Buchan. And there goes McElroy with the first goal for Manchester United. A moment of bad defensive covering. getting the ball from this chap Buchan. Buchan's header. Ball then going to McElroy, who made no mistake on the near post. It's 2-1. Tony Young. Greenoff. McElroy. Good ball, Willie Morgan. The tackle coming from McCall. Good ball, McElroy. What a fine save, it's there! Kicked out of Pearce's hands by Greenoff. Now has he allowed the goal? Referee Chalice is over the spot. Greenoff stuck it in the net. Everybody arguing with the referee, but it looks very much as though that is going to be ruled dangerous play by referee Chalice. Gary Pearce going down tremendously bravely to save the shot from McElroy. Greenoff charging in, kicking the ball out of his hands, but it wasn't the equaliser, I don't think.
And so it finished then as a 2-1 victory for the Wolves. And that's it for this week. Remember, though, on the ball next Saturday lunchtime, when we have a real great programme for you, when we're going to have a preview of the England-Poland match. But above all, we shall also have the draw for the third round of the Football League Cup live in our studio. Then, of course, as usual, there's the big match at the new time, remember, 2:05 next Sunday. Now, we normally leave you on Sundays with a goal. We thought we'd do something a little bit different this time. A real piece of magic by Peter Osgood. Magic and a lot of work going into it as well against Queen's Park Rangers yesterday.